Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Holt from Exodus and formerly from Slayer, and you're listening to The Razor's Edge.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Razor's Edge with Jamie. Joining me today to talk all about his band's brand new and sixth studio album, Nostalgia, available today, May 5th. A band who are quoted to say heavy metal is not old school, it is timeless, which I think is an incredibly badass statement. From the incredible Swedish heavy metal powerhouse Enforcer, it's Olaf Wikstrand. Welcome to The Razor's Edge, sir.
Hi, how are we doing?
Thank you very much for taking time out to join us today.
Absolutely no worries.
So before we talk about the album, take us back to the start for yourself. Where did that love of rock and metal come from for you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm grown up in a musical family. My dad was into a lot of 60s rock, like Beatles and Stones and everything around that, projecting that on me growing up in the 80s. So I think that was pretty natural, but it wasn't until I found bands like Metallica and Guns N' Roses and Kiss and Iron Maiden and those bands where I really made the connection, that I found something that was my own in this world, in this rock world.
Absolutely. But at what point did you decide you wanted to start playing music yourself then?
Before I even have memories, I think,
Oh, wow.
We were very encouraged, my brother and I, to both to play music, but also write music. And we were writing songs with our parents before we even had memories.
That's amazing. That is awesome. It's awesome to see like parents encouraging the arts, because a lot of people don't see it as a silly little hobby thing, but no, it's important. So So you've got an incredible voice. As soon as I heard you guys, my ears were just like, I like this. I'm a fan of this. But who inspired you to come up with Enforcer to play that style of music? Who are your inspirations?
I don't know. Everything I hear. I mean, I'm not bound to any specific style of music when I'm listening to music. It's pretty much everything. But I mean, I started this band now. It's almost 20 years ago. I was playing in more extreme metal bands, and we made covers from bands such as Exciter, Venom, Motorhead.
Like I said, your voice reminds me of people like Mark Slaughter from Vinnie Vincent Invasion and Bret Michaels, that sort of that proper like 80s hard rock sound, and it's what I live for. Like Kiss is my favorite band on the planet, so I live for that style of music. But
thanks, man. Yeah.
When it comes to writing music with Enforcer, then what's the songwriting process like for you guys? Is it like lyrics first, and then someone comes in with a beautiful riff, and you build on that, whatever it may be?
It's different all the time. It's I can say sometimes it's a riff and you build a song upon a riff, but usually you hear like an entirety in your head, and you're trying to capture what you're hearing like inside your head, onto a recording, so that it kind of goes hand in hand pretty much, or everything comes at the same time.
I like that. I suppose sometimes you hear a riff and lyrics just come to your head immediately, like to the sound of that riff. You're like, oh, I'll write this down before I forget them.
I there's a trick that my brother and I used to like always use is that they just imagine that we're like a different singer. Like now I'm imagining that I'm Dio. What would that be in this?
Let's talk about the new album, Nostalgia, your first album with new guitarist Jonathan and Garth. Is that right?
Jonathan's been with us for 8 years, but it's the first time with Garth. Even though he doesn't play on all the songs, he plays on some of the songs. But yeah, that's great. At least.
Well, my research got me wrong there, didn't it? But how excited are you for you to hear people to hear this new album?
I'm super stoked. That's something that I've been working with almost every day for 3-4 years. So I'm super stoked to get it out there.
I can imagine. Like now, I bet nerves are quite high today as well. The album's now out. It's just like waiting for those reviews and those opinions to come in from the fans.
Yeah. I got some reviews, but the opinions from the fans, is coming today, and I'm super excited about that. That's because after all, that's what matters.
Absolutely. So I saw the album described as a reflective look at everything that once existed and a reminder that life is in a constant state of change. What is meant by that? Did you go into writing this album with like a certain mindset?
I mean, that's the concept of the song Nostalgia, and how we saw and how we see the concept of nostalgia reflected in the music. I think, you know, at a certain point of your life, you realize that things around you evolve, change, wither, eventually dies, eventually dissolves into the universe. You know, so yeah, that's kind of the concept of the song, and the title and the artwork that's kind of a common theme in the album.
I love that. You don't see many bands put like a concept into an album these days. I love that you're bringing that back. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's important to have like an overall thought about an album, and to make, you know, create an atmosphere with what you're doing, instead of just putting out something that sounds and looks like everything else that people can't build a relationship to.
Absolutely. You're saying like how the album's about reflecting, looking back, things changing and whatnot. I hate to bring it up because, you know, we're moving past it now, but did the whole pandemic and COVID sort of influence that? Because obviously it changed everyone's life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe a bit. I mean, you clearly sit down and reflect, and and ask yourself if your life choices was the right thing, you know, the right choices to make.
Absolutely. So we were talking a minute ago about feedback you've got from the fans, etc. But you've released two singles from the album, Nostalgia and Coming Alive, two very different sounding tracks. What's the feedback been like so far on those?
Better than expected, I think, because you know, it's always like a, you know, putting out a rock ballad as a single number two. That was like something that I didn't really dare to do, but eventually we took the risk, and it paid off. I think yeah, people really understood what we were doing this time, and you know, I think it's a great song. I think it's one of the best songs that I've ever done.
It's a fantastic song. I reckon fans just loved seeing you in a bright blue bathtub in the video myself.
Yeah, just wanted to do something different, you know.
It's great. But I was fortunate enough to get an advanced listen to the album. I know it came out today, but I got to listen to it the other day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm not just saying this because you hear it. There isn't a bad song on the album. It is fantastic. I was especially a fan of Kiss of Death. That is a great song. And also Heartbeats. It really reminded me of, do you remember Love Kills by Vinnie Vincent Invasion?
I never listened to that, honestly. Maybe I should give it a try.
I think it was like a soundtrack song to one of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. It really gave me that vibe. It's a great, great song. I was absolutely loving it. It's rare when I listen to an album, I'll go back and listen to a song again, and that is one of them. When I was listening to Heartbeats, it's fantastic.
I'm happy with that song. It's a special arrangement, and I love how that song like goes from very still and builds and builds and builds and builds into a climax at the end.
Yeah, those are the best songs. You just like, you listen to it like, oh, it's still coming. Oh, come on, give it to me. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
But what songs on the record stand out to you that you really cannot wait for people to hear that aren't the two singles?
There's a song called Demon that I'm pretty stoked about, but nobody else in the band really liked that, so they didn't really want to push it to like any single status. But I'm really curious to see what the fans will think about that song. Also, Heartbeats. We were kind of choosing between Nostalgia and Heartbeats for single status.
And how does this album compare to Zenith?
I think it's an album that is more consequent and cohesive, where all the songs are like meant to be representative singles from the band. I think in comparison to last album, where we wanted to make it an album full of highs and lows, and where every song would be like almost like a different band.
Okay, so it's a lot more structure and thought went into this one.
I would say the opposite. There's less structure. There's more like more hits thing, more like hit song focus than to make an album that is like atmospheric and epic.
I get what you mean. So, is there a plan in place to tour the record?
I'm gonna do a bunch of festival shows coming up this summer, and then we might do something in the autumn. It depends on how if we can nail the dates soon. But definitely some sort of touring, But first of all, there's this festival shows that we have coming up. It's listed on the website.
Incredible. If you're over here in the UK, I will do my best to be there because, yeah, I'm absolutely loving this new album.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Before I
appreciate it so much.
Not at all. It's phenomenal, like I say. Before I let you go, that if people are listening to this and for some reason have never heard Enforcer before, I said this is your 6th record now, but what's 1 or 2 tracks from the back catalogue you might recommend for people to get a feel of Enforcer?
Listen to Death Rides This Night and Undying Evil. I think those are 2 really representative tracks.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with future episodes by subscribing to our channels. For more information on this podcast, or for all the latest music news, reviews, interviews and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.